At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Lincoln Way Community District 210 Board of Education for December 16th, 2021. Please stand for the pledge if you are able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Linda, roll call, please.
Mr. Jan.
Here.
Ms. Janice Doyle. Mr. Kirking. Mr. Lacine.
Here.
Mr. Lucetti.
Here.
Mr. Costick.
Here.
Mrs. Stokes.
Thank you. We have one gentleman signed up for public comment. Mr. Kaufman, Brad Kaufman would like to speak this evening.
Well, tonight, as my last school board meeting, as I wrap up almost 30-year career as a school business manager, I've worked for 6 different school districts, many superintendents and board of educations. And I can say hands down, Lincoln Way is the best place I've ever worked. I want to thank Dr. Teenley, the Board of Education, and all of the fellow administrations for what a great place this is. I know you probably hear it, but it's the honest truth. Lincoln Way is by far the best place I've ever worked, and I sincerely wish you all the best as you continue this awesome district and awesome school. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad, and on behalf of the board, we've already expressed personally our thanks to you, and we cannot thank you enough. Where this district was 6 years ago to where we are now, and you were as big a part of that turnaround as anybody, so we cannot thank you enough for all you've done, and we wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. Come back and visit us whenever you want. Moving on, presentations, curriculum, instruction, and assessment update.
We're going to move that to January.
Okay. At this time, I'd entertain a motion for the consent agenda to approval of the regular meeting minutes of November 18th, 2021, approval of the closed meeting minutes of November 18th, approval of the payrolls of November 19th and December 3rd, 2021, personnel reports, approval of the District 210 advisory minutes from November 15th, and out-of-state travel. Would anyone like anything pulled from the consent agenda for discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open.
Thank you. Want to just call it?
Mr. Costick.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. And it didn't come up on my screen. Before we move on, I'd like to appoint Mr. Lacine as Secretary Pro Temp this evening in Ms. Janice Doyle's absence. And moving on to action items. Presentation of invoices for November 19th, 2021 through December 16th, 2021.
Motion to approve the invoices in the amount of $2,757,160.92 dated December 16th, 2021.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
I did actually have one. Are we having to outsource more of the special ed transportation? I saw it was on like one of the, I can't remember the exact name of it, Van Gogh or?
Short answer is yes, Chris. We are. 843, in similar vein to District 210, is short-staffed. So there have been some times we have not been able to provide, or 843 has not been able to cover routes. So that is part of it. Anything to add to that, Mike? I know that's just, and that was a couple of our outside placements, out of district placements.
Nothing further. I have a motion to second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. Mr. Costick?
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. I mean, I like feeling, having the last guy, Don't put any pressure on me or anything like that. Treasurer's report for November 2021.
For the month ending November 30, the district received $6 million and spent $8.9 million, which was as expected. Total cash balance at the end of the month was $52.3 million. When analyzing the year-to-date detail, revenues are trending behind FY21 at this point in the year on a percentage basis, but not a dollar basis. We've received $4.7 million more in actual receipts fiscal year-to-date than at the same point last year. Expenses are trending on course. Non-capital equipment spending does remain lower so far this year. There's very little to report regarding our investments. The blended rate of return for our invested funds is 0.04%. So I will continue working with PMA to maximize where we can, and I'll, of course, apprise the board if anything changes. Cash flow details have been updated to reflect the December 2 tax distribution and December 3 payroll. However, through November 30, the district had a positive cash variance of roughly $20,000. Any cash flow variances on both the revenue and expense side were spread across a variety of accounts and funds. There was nothing noteworthy, with one exception, and that is more staff opted to have a lump sum payment for activity and athletic stipends than in prior years, so the salary cash flow is a little bit ahead. Overall, net cash balance is $4.5 million higher than at this time last year, and again, as I mentioned earlier, the total cash balance is $52.3 million. Looking ahead to next month's report, the month of December is unique in that 2 tax distributions are scheduled in this calendar month, albeit the second one is smaller. And additionally, we expect to receive just under $700,000 in quarterly categorical payments from the state. That's all I have to report.
Any questions for Mike? If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report for November 2021 as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Lynn, if you'd call the vote.
Aye.
Mr. Lacine?
Aye.
Mr. Lucetti?
Aye.
Mr. Costick?
Aye. Moving on to the student activities report for 2021.
Student activities report for the month of November is included in your backup materials. We have one account that is in the negative, Best Buddies at Central, just waiting for a fundraising check that is due in December. And then asking for approval for a new account. It would be the Black Student Union at Central. That is a new student activity group that has been meeting since the beginning of the school year. I would ask that you approve the student activity report as presented.
Thank you. Are there any questions? And Linda, I think I figured it out, so if you want to try it again the other way.
So moved.
A motion and a second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Adoption of the 2021 tax levy.
Nothing has changed since last month's presentation. This year's operating levy request represents an increase of 3.54%. Existing taxpayers will experience an average operating increase of 1.4%, which is last year's rate of inflation, and the remaining portion comes from taxes on new properties. I'd be happy to take any questions if anything's come up since last month, but otherwise just seeking your approval here tonight.
Anyone have any questions for Mike? If not, I would entertain a motion to adopt the 2021 tax levy as presented.
So moved.
Second.
A motion to second. Lynn, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, IMRF agent resolution.
I'd like to name Kelly Luzzo as the authorized agent for the district. This really should be someone in the business office, and she and I have discussed, we're going to split. I'd like Kelly to be the IMRF agent, and I will take TRS. That designation will help us maintain internal controls and is part of kind of a larger review of a variety of reporting entities and who our authorized agents are to speak to those entities. IMRF specifically, though, requires a board resolution, so that's why that's on the agenda tonight.
Fantastic. Does anyone have any questions? Kelly, you okay with
Just-
that over there?
So what, this just allows her to be the person who talks to IMR, okay.
All right. If I could please, no one has any further questions, I'd entertain a motion to appoint Kelly Luzzo as the IMRF agent.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, the TRS 457B agreement resolution.
A recent addition to Illinois School Code requires that TRS offer an optional defined contribution benefit to active TRS members. To comply, TRS contracted with Voya, and Illinois school districts have to subsequently adopt this resolution in order to participate. And that is required of us effective January 1st. We also offer our own 457B offerings, so this will simply be added to the list, but it does require board approval prior to January 1st.
So if a teacher elects to participate, someone from Voya would come in and talk to them, or they'd just go through it online or something like that?
One or the other or both, yes. And so TRS has already sent out information to active TRS members of the supplementary savings plan, just to educate them, let them know that is an offering. It's voluntary, it's optional, they don't have to do it. And then for new teachers who are just coming into education, that's now required in terms of the onboarding process that we provide them documentation about it.
I saw in somewhere you had us, what we're currently offering is a limited 457B plan. What's the difference, if anything, between the new plan and what we're currently offering?
We're still going to offer what we have, and we're actually expanding the list of vendors that we do have internally here in Lincoln Way. Voya is just another provider that we've not had on the list, and this is the particular one. I think TRS, I'm assuming for sake of simplicity, elected to go with a single vendor, and so they're just now added to our list.
If there are no other questions, I'd entertain a motion to accept the TRS 457B agreement resolution.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to the work truck bid.
And Mr. Wilkie's here to answer any questions that you guys might have about the specifics in the memo and the bid specs, but I'll just share at a high level. The work truck is part of our replacement cycle. It's replacing a 2005 truck that was at the end of life. We did receive only one bid, but that bid is significantly below MSRP just because of the GM government purchase program. Rich and I both also did research the state's bid buy website where you can get state bid awards, and there was no comparable vehicle available. And so we feel very comfortable with this price and are seeking board approval here tonight.
Is it normal to just get one bid for selling a truck?
I think it depends on how specific we are in the bid. I know that Rich wants to use it for a few specific things. Rich, is there anything you want to add?
What are the specs?
Well, it's a basic one-ton work truck with snowplow prep, but typically we wouldn't go out to bid. In the past, we've purchased bid program. We haven't, with the bid by the new state bid program, it's somewhat cumbersome to navigate, so we decided to go out to bid.
I would also add, if we were perhaps pursuing a fleet of vehicles, you might have had some more interest. But just given where the market is right now, it's one truck.
Lucky they could find it, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say, is there any delivery issues?
Maybe March.
What's that?
We may receive it in March.
If there are no other questions or concern, I'd entertain a motion to accept the work truck bid as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion the second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to the chiller replacement bid.
In similar fashion, I'll defer to Mr. Wilkie if he has, if you have any specific questions, but as was mentioned in September, the Lincoln Way East chiller unexpectedly went down, and Rich secured a temporary unit as that was not repairable. The district sought and received multiple bids, which is provided in your packet here tonight. Both DLA and district administration recommend accepting base bid number 1 from Acitelli Heating and Piping for a total of $385,000. The one note that I want to make is this capital need was unforeseen and so therefore wasn't included as part of the FY22 budget. So the district will utilize its $425,000 contingency budget line for this project.
And we didn't think that we needed this alternate number 1 was not necessary, or?
Rich, could you come on up to the mic, please? Thanks.
Oh, that was I'm sorry. I misread that, Rich. I'm really sorry. Thought that was an alternate installation within that first bid. That's what, okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right.
Any other questions?
Have we ever worked with, I don't know how to pronounce it, Acitelli?
We have not. Our architects and our engineers recommend them.
Any further questions?
Wasn't there some government money available, I thought, that we were talking about for potentially using for this?
There is ESSER funds that can be used as part of this. As we work our way through the budget, we'll see where that falls, Chris. But right now, Mike thought the best place would be the contingency, but we'll continue to work through that as we go through. This won't be paid until, April, May, June. But Mike, you can speak to that. Part of that ESSER, I think, was for future
Yeah, some of the
future
ESSER,
HVAC.
some of the ESSER 3 funds, as we've gone through kind of our timeline and planning, both in curriculum and in Rich's world, some of that was for air quality and would be certainly a related expense. But that grant is over 3 years, and so our discussions internally have been on upcoming HVAC needs and putting them in future years using that money there. So the alternative is we can use some of the ESSER funds now out of this year's budget, and spend some of that three-year grant, just front-load it, which is not how we built the budget with the state, but it can certainly be amended in terms of the grant budget. That's not a problem. And then what we would be doing is the future HVAC needs that maybe we had earmarked in year 2 or 3, i.e. fiscal year 23 or fiscal year 24, would be hitting district books. So a little bit, I think my opinion is it's a 6 of one, half a dozen of another in terms of where we tag the expense. We can use grant money now and district funds later, or vice versa. But we know we have upcoming HVAC needs.
And this one was not planned for this year, obviously. That was the mechanical failure that occurred in the fall.
If there are no further questions, I entertain a motion to accept the chiller replacement bid as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to the second reading of policies.
In the backup material includes the second reading of board policies that are primarily a result of the last two legislative sessions. To answer any questions or clarify any points that you would like, but we would just ask for approval of the updated policies as presented.
Entertain a motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Any further discussion or questions regarding the second readings of policies? Linda, if you'd open the vote, please.
The vote is open.
Thank you.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to informational items. Deidre is not here this evening, so we're not going to have a report for the 843 Governing Board, I
It's just
assume?
in your backup materials.
Thank you. FOIA requests?
There's just one FOIA request this month, and once again, it's in the backup materials.
Thank you. Building and grounds.
Buildings and Grounds, Rich is here if anyone has any questions. We did include the capital improvement plan projection that was requested by Member Kirking last month, and then I'll include this in the weekly updates as we kind of move towards our next 5cast and any bond refinancing. Just wanted to show kind of where we've been and then where we anticipate over the next, well, through 2032.
So what's happening in 2029?
Yeah.
2029, Mr. Wilkie, it's a big HVAC. Go ahead, Rich.
So that's part of the mechanical upgrades that were identified with our facility assessment. Basically, here at Lincoln Way East, the 1977 edition has the original air handling units still in place. At that point, at some point, those will have to be replaced. They're old multi-zone units, less efficient, and they're aging. So that's what that big expenditure is. That could probably be spread out and probably would be spread out over several years, but that comes with planning and collaboration with the mechanical engineers and the architects.
So we have it in there as a holding place right now, knowing that that's within those 3 or 4 years, either way, we're going to have to address it. Thank you.
Moving on. Asset, community relations.
Community Relations is included in your backup materials for your review.
Asset of the month.
Asset of the month for December is Caring School Climate and Final Exam Preparation, which we haven't had in a while, so it's interesting to see that this week. Definition, kids place high value on helping others at home, regularly spend family time helping others, volunteer at a shelter, soup kitchen, or nursing home. At school, encourage all students to participate in service activities. Then in the community, honor and affirm youth who serve others. That's the asset of the month for December.
Thank you. And Beth is not here, so we don't have District 210 advisory tonight. Moving on, legislative report.
Nothing to include this evening.
District report.
District report, we did send an email out to parents this evening regarding one of our favorite things, TikTok. So TikTok did have a threatening post to conduct harm, violence towards schools. It's a nationwide thing on December 17th, which would be tomorrow. It's a nationwide thing. There is no reason to believe there's any threat. We've already been in contact with the supervisors of our deputies here at Will County. We'll have additional resources available, but it's on the news. It's been out there. So we just wanted to send something out to parents saying we're aware. We've spoken with our local authorities. I've spoken with all feeder superintendents all afternoon, and we're on the same page. There's no defined threat.
Any other district business?
Nothing to report at this time.
And I don't see any correspondence.
None.
Excellent. What we're going to do, we're going to go into closed session very quickly, then we're going to come back for the strategic planning. So with that, I entertain a motion to move into closed session.
So moved.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. It's unanimous. Folks, we'll be back in, what, 15 minutes or so?
15 minutes, Mr. Wilkie, if you can, you guys grab a snack and. Thank you. We're here this evening to provide an overview of the last, what turns out, it's 6 years ago when this started. And so before I kind of get to the background, I'm going to first turn it over to Dr. Bob Madonia. Dr. Madonia called when we were going through some of our financial struggles and said, hey, you should really consider this. And talked to Bob over a couple month period and determined this could be a direction we could go. And so I met with several board members, and Bob said, hey, I'm not going to charge you. I'm part of this community. I've worked in this community, and I really want to help. And I can't thank him enough, number one, for convincing me that this was the right thing to do, but then his guidance and mentorship as we worked through this process. As we sat down and talked about what we've accomplished over these 5 years, I don't know that it would have been possible if we weren't as directed and targeted as we would. So first, I'm going to turn it over to Bob, let him talk for a minute, and then we'll go through some of this overview. So Dr. Madonia, a couple words, please.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here tonight, and I have to tell you that in looking back 5 years ago when we began strategic planning in the district, it was a great opportunity to set a direction and a focus and a new horizon, and I think we did that. And I have to say that the one thing the strategic planning process does is connect the board, administration, and staff with community. And that is exactly what happened. And I think at that time, at that crucial time, that was a very important piece. And so, as you know, strategic planning is not just a planning endeavor, it's a public relations endeavor. And I think Lincoln Way achieved both of those goals. And what I will say to you is that the amount of progress you've made in 5 years is phenomenal. And I'm not saying that, in just to say it, because I do strategic planning all the time. I've now done close to 75 plans in different districts. And so, but what I want to say to you is you have really set the marker for achievement. And I think you've done a great job. You should be complimented. And I think what you've done is set a culture in the school district of continuous improvement, which means you always want to get better. And that's what goal setting does. That's what strategic planning does. And that's what yearly increased outcomes do. So my hats are off to all of you, and I look forward to our future relationship with strategic planning. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere yet. So, just a token of our appreciation, one of the outcomes of our strategic plan was our Nike deal with BSN. So, we are now one of the revenue producers and cost-cutting measures is we're a Nike exclusive school. So we wanted to present you with the Lincoln Way Nike jacket.
Wow,
You can wear that
cool.
with pride.
Well, thank you.
And
Thank
once
you very
again,
much. I
thank you for
appreciate it.
everything.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm going to take a little while to go through some of this. I lost the vote when I said, hey, every different administrator can come up. Well, they had 5 votes for me, and I only had 1 for everybody else. So we're going to go through some of this. Now, 5 years ago, we were on the financial watch list. We were in a difficult place, obviously. We had lost some of the trust of our community, no question about it. Our brand was damaged. This was a vehicle to come back and engage our community. That first Friday, Saturday meeting, we had over 100 volunteers from our community come and participate in that planning. And I think that says a lot to the commitment of the community towards our process and our district. So as we begin this and begin to go through, I need to find my clicker. Is it right over here? We really have to start. Uh-oh. Let me try one more time here. Is it going, Brad? See, I waited for technology to go last. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I got a number. Okay, So we're going to start with finance. The board met with Dr. Madonia to determine what 5 areas we were going to study and what 5 areas we were going to set goals. Before we could even begin to build upon the other 4, we had to get this in order, right? And so I want to take a couple moments and go over the finance. As I said, we were on the watch list. We were the bottom in terms of financial stability. It was Chicago Public Schools and Lincoln Way right there in the same area. So we needed to restore our fund balances and provide and maintain fiscal stability. Our board adopted a fund balance 420. We've all heard about that. That's 3% needs to go towards our reserves until we meet 33% of our operating expenditures. At the time we began this planning, we were borrowing over $30 million to operate. We're currently borrowing $0 to operate. Significant improvement. We created additional sources of revenue through different ways, student fees, investment interest, and even our exclusive Nike contract. This is the mic drop moment. I could really drop my clicker and walk away. This tells the picture, right? You can see the years of decline, and then you can see the years of growth. We began to grow our fund balances. While we still have work to do, you can see the significant progress as we continued to build back those fund balances. We're now in a place where we are financial recognition. This is the first time Lincoln Way has ever been financially recognized, being in that top quarter, that top percent of financial stability of districts within the state. You can see we've grown that fund balance on our way to that 30, over the 33 and onto a 35%. We had a second goal, which was demonstrate fiscal responsibility while maintaining current student programs. We had to improve our processes and procedures. It was right before this that we hired Kelly Lezo as our Director of Finance. Kelly came in with a different eye, having been at another large school district and worked for Deloitte & Touche. Kelly helped with an audit of our policies, made appropriate improvements and documentation. A year into the plan, we hired Brad Kaufman. Brad continued to build upon and improve our procedures. We went from an annual audit having 17 to 20 comments to having 2. Those 2 are repeating comments. We know they're there. At some point, I'm sure we'll address those, but it's nothing like 18 comments. We've improved there. Administration continues to provide a 5-year financial forecast semi-annually. That's something Brad brought to the board. At least twice a year, we are looking 5 years down the line. So we're able to adjust to changes in market, changes in the economy, changes in the housing market. And that 5-year forecast then helps guide the board in those decision-making processes as we move forward. We've achieved a bond rating of Baa1. We're hopeful in the next month we'll improve that back to the A category. We're working with Moody's. We're hoping they will rate us one more time. We've also reached out to Standard & Poor's for a rating. We need to get in that A category as we go back to refinance bonds here over the next 6 months. The last bullet, while maintaining student programs was our goal, student programs have expanded and increased in number. You're going to see as we go through the rest of these slides, not only did we maintain, while we built back our reserves and built our fund balance, we continued to improve. And I think that's significant, and that says a lot about our staff and our teachers and their ability to continue to move us forward. As we look at curriculum instruction from the planning, continuing to update pathways for college and career readiness to meet the needs of all students. Increase the number of dual credit, dual enrollment, credentialed transitional courses offered in the district. In fact, this year will be our first year of dual credit accounting through Governor State University. My kid just missed that by 1 year. That would have saved me some money. But this will be our first year working with Governor State, and we're going to continue to build upon those programs. That's significant savings for parents. We have several through Joliet Junior College. Established engineering pathways, including Project Lead the Way, career paths on the website for each department, integrated into our PPS department, and the freshman seminar curricula. Annual Lincoln Way Career Fair. We didn't do it here during COVID, but in the past, we brought together the employers and the trades to those students who may not be on that four-year college path. We received positive feedback from both the students, those employers, and the tradespeople, and that's something we're looking forward, probably in the fall, Dr. Ferry, if I'm correct, we'll be doing again next fall, is bringing those people in, providing opportunities for our students. Completed research of college and career readiness platform. We'll be implementing school links this next school year. Our goal, too, was enhance curriculum with innovative instruction assessment and the infusion of social emotional learning standards. Social emotional learning standards were incorporated into departments' units. Now, what SEL is, it's self-management, self-awareness, you can see the grid there, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. No better time to be focusing on this coming out of what we just came out of this last year and a half. Staff professional development focused on SEL in the classroom. An SEL task force was created and an SEL screener was implemented. One of the things that's not included in here is our continued development of our curriculum. We were at a place prior to the strategic planning. We hadn't bought textbooks in years, several years. Since we've put this in place, we're anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000 a year on educational materials, be it textbooks, on licenses for online resources. So significant improvement as we've continued to move forward. Once again, another big one. We were at a place when we were in this planning, we were behind on our roofs, we were behind on our parking lots. So we developed a capital plan and operations and maintenance plan. We developed and presented a plan to the board with a 10-year capital projects plan that was developed by our architects and engineers. It's in the millions of dollars, we knew it would be, but now we have a roadmap. That was something that was necessary. We had done a roofing plan, we had done a pavement plan, but now we did it to include HVAC, or mechanical, electrical equipment. We utilize school dude scheduling to manage our facility usage and our cost recovery. We've done over $13 million in capital improvements since FY18. Our facilities master plan has $61 million. That will probably increase as we see the cost increasing. Just a couple highlights. This little section could take over an hour. Actually, each one could take an hour, but just a couple things. Original buildings, outbuildings at East, that's the one on the top. For you Lincoln Way Central graduates, the original concession stand at the football field and the bathroom had not been touched since it had been built. Those are brand new. So if you were at a Lincoln Way Central football game this year and walked into the washroom, it was a much different look. That predated many of our graduates in the room. You can see the top left, our tennis courts. We could lose tennis balls, maybe even freshmen in some of the cracks on the tennis courts. We couldn't play matches at Lincoln Way East for a year. And we have brand new state-of-the-art tennis courts now that will last at least 20 years. And we have a proper maintenance schedule in place. You can see the nice clean roof on, I believe that's Lincoln Way, is that East, Rich? I'm not sure. It's a tennis courts. Oh, is that the progression? My bad, that's the progression of the tennis courts. My fault. So that's a progression of the tennis courts. And that was at East and Central, brand new courts. Brand new turf fields on all three schools, much safer playing surface, and those will last minimum 10 years. With our maintenance schedule, we're hoping to get certainly 12 to 15 years out of those fields. Here's just a look of what we've spent and then what's coming. Obviously, there's a large spike. That spike is due to a large HVAC project that will likely spread that out over several years. Goal 2, this is something that prior to this, we didn't have in place. This was very important. Enhance school security plans for students in the buildings. Prior to this, we did not have secured entrances. Our doors were open. We developed a system where there are secured entrances for all of our students in the morning. Staff monitors the entrances that the students come through. During the day, we have only access limited through one door, It's a holding where you have to be buzzed in, so they're complete secure entrances. We did not have those prior to this planning. Guest procedures have been updated, lockdown procedures have been reviewed. The picture here is one of our command centers. We have an emergency command center in each building and then one in the district annex where we're able to access all of our security cameras. We did not have these. We had about a third to a quarter of these cameras in each of the buildings prior to this plan. We have the same technology that many large universities have. We're able to track students throughout the day. We can track an intruder throughout the day. It's state-of-the-art, and this is an area of great improvement over the last 5 years and was definitely necessary. Human resources can promote continuous staff development for our employees. We regularly survey our staff to determine developmental and training needs. We do most of our professional development in-house. We don't pay to send our teachers all over the Midwest. We do a lot of that here. We increase opportunities for staff in technology, intruder incidents. We've worked a lot on our insurance, pensions, and preventing school violence, and more. Another area of human resources to recruit and retain. We're well over 90% in retaining our employees. We reviewed our hiring processes. We formed a benefits committee, and then we're using different recruitment tools such as Indeed, social media. It's difficult right now to find employees. You know, we're struggling in the area of transportation. We talk about it all the time in the board meetings, parapros. And so we're using Indeed and some other social media platforms to do our best to recruit. We've also changed some of our interviewing processes. Last year when we hired a principal at Lincoln Way East, we involved students, we involved a staff committee, and then also community members. It's something we will do this winter when we hire the principal at Lincoln Way West. That's something that's new and different to Lincoln Way. Community relations and PR, unify the district and build public trust through board stakeholder communications. Prior to this planning, we did not have board docs. Anybody who follows us on board docs, it's a one-stop shop. You can get salary information, anything from the board meeting, policy information. It's helped for our transparency. We also now stream our board meetings, something we did not do prior to, prior to this planning. Now, obviously, COVID helped move this along, but it's helped for transparency's sake. Board bites we send after each board meeting to distribute to staff and families, and then we've done the state of the district each year. We wanted to enhance the district brand and identify opportunities to engage stakeholders. We recently launched a new website that's been years in the making and a mobile app now. So parents can track what's happening in each school on their app. We look to continue to engage stakeholders on social media platforms, and then participation in monthly chamber meetings is something we've continued to do. Now, this last one's a big one. Strengthen relationships with local media outlets and regularly submitting positive stories about the district to reach shareholders, stakeholders. If you remember 5 years ago, we couldn't get a positive article. Didn't matter what we did, we couldn't get a positive article. We've worked through that with our numerous directors of PR. We have one now that's going to stay. And so we're in a really good place as we move forward. But as you can see, there are more positive articles now than the negative, and it was rough. One of the worst parts of my day was coming into my office with my head down to go to the Daily Southtown to open up the front page just to see what the hit piece was that day. And I mean, the pit in your stomach every morning as you logged on going, oh, what's it going to be? That's gone away. It's a better feeling now. So I think we've accomplished some of these goals. So technology. We wanted to create a technology plan that prepares students for college life and career readiness. In the 16-17 school year, think about that, the 16-17 school year, there were 90 laptops available for students across the district, students that weren't either IEP or Title I. We did have carts for students with special needs. We did have carts for Title I. The remaining 6,000 students had 90 laptops available to them. This current year, 3,400 students have their own devices that have been supplied by the district. Next year, we anticipate one-to-one with 6,700 student devices. Now, obviously, COVID, ESSER funds have helped that, but we were on pace to do that. We had recognized that as something we needed to do to continue to get our students ready to compete, locally and globally, for that matter. We trained our teachers in each building. Our instructional technology staff created a variety of online resources and videos for staff and students. We have a detailed life cycle and inventory plan now, and it's kept up to date. That was also very important for us to begin to track. Goal number 2, explore, develop, and maintain an infrastructure that will support the needs of students. Technology plan was adjusted to meet the growing needs of the district. The bandwidth, I don't know what this means, but Cheryl said this is a big deal. It was increased from 500, the bandwidth has increased from 500 megabytes to 3 gigabytes. 3 gigabytes is evidently a lot. Wireless coverage is now available to support our one-to-one environment. It works. And these guys take a lot of grief, and we joke, but every kid has a device, every kid has a phone, and things are working. And so I can't say enough about their leadership and work throughout this. District personnel implemented new security updates and applications as needed to protect district resources. Now, the last slide is, there's over 100 people here that at some point contributed to this process. It definitely, each meeting had a different feel as we continued to improve, but I appreciate the input of everyone. Even those who were very critical of us, we needed that. We were at a place where we needed to hear exactly what the public thought, what they felt, what they believed, and what we needed to do to begin to make things better. So I appreciate the time and efforts of everyone who have put forth an effort to move us through this 5-year plan. Does anybody have any comments, questions, concerns that I could have one of my administrators or board members answer? Okay, I kind of went through that quickly. I just want to thank everybody for their efforts. I think that when you step back, as our administrative team started to put together bullet points, we had 7-8 pages for each item. And so we've accomplished a lot in 5 years. Now, I will tell you, we've made improvements. We still have to get better, right? Next month, we're going to look at some of our test scores. We've got to get better. We're going to push and push and push. We're going to continue to stay on top of our finances. Brad's done an amazing job. We're bringing in Mike Duback. Mike's going to do an amazing job. Our board, our leadership guidance, our oversight has been second to none. It's not always easy, but it's made us better. So I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank the board, thank the administration, thank the community members, and we're in a much better place today than we were when we began this process. So in closing, everyone, enjoy your holiday season. If nobody has anything else, we can turn it back over to the board meeting.
If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned. Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.